Hi folks, this morning's soap is going to be from WTF Tobacco Rose. This is a fairly soft soap, might be close to a crope if you will, just that easy. I already put a hot towel to the face and some bloom water and been working on having fun with the lather. Using a vintage Rubberset brush that's been reknotted by a Frank Strike Gold shave, and that's what I got whipped up so far. Distinctive goat wooden bowl here. This one here is a walnut cherry. That's what it looks like there. Yeah, there's plenty. This one here, I excuse me, whipped up on the moist side. That's what I kind of sort of prefer, I guess you might say. The shaver I'm going to be using today is a vintage Old Type Gillette, and I've been looking at them for a moment. Little things that I have noticed about these old types, especially on the handle, is where you might find something stamped. In this one in particular, the stamp is talks about the patent pending. I think it says January the 13th, 1920, I think it is. And I've noticed that it's not always stamped in the same place on the handle, or it's not stamped at all. Excuse me. This one here doesn't have it stamped at all, but I've seen it stamped down here. I've seen it stamped up here. And like I said, this one here doesn't have it at all. And the last time I shaved with an Old Type, it was pretty darn aggressive. I've read and heard a lot about a Mula, or an R41, how you say it. I got some pretty smooth shaves with that one. The R41, not that it wasn't aggressive, but it was very efficient. But I was still able to shave 5 days straight with it, and no irritation. I guess you might say didn't have any issues out of it. It was just a very efficient shaver for me. But I shave with a shavette throughout the week, so in other words, my primary shaver is a shavette, so I'm used to that kind of aggressive feel with the blade already. And when I shaved with this one, old style, or Old Type, man, yeah, you can definitely, last time I used it, you can definitely feel the blade. It was, the blade feel was very present. I'm going to give it another try and see how it works today. Could be maybe I just didn't have the angle quite like it needed to be. Be kind of hard to say. I need to really, some of these razors like this one here, I need to shave. I need to use all week. And the blade of the day is a crystal. Yeah, you can you can definitely feel that blade. It's kind of, just to look at it, I wouldn't have thought so. You can see the blade there. Wouldn't have thought that it would have been have that kind of blade feel. I also have the alum block with a rubber band, Humphrey Witch Hazel with lilac scent, and going to follow up with the matching aftershave from WTF. Yeah, I'd have to say my R41 doesn't have this kind of blade feel. I wouldn't say This razor is for somebody just starting out, but I would almost, yeah, pretty much recommend if you if you're starting out, been shaving for a moment, and if you think maybe you're ready for a challenge, this one here just might be it. Because I think, just judging from what I'm feeling, whatnot, if your pre-shave routine and if your lather's not quite right, this one's going to let you know about it. Yeah, your technique will definitely have to be pretty decent, because you talk about no pressure, light pressure. It's yes, this one here will get you there if you're not already there. That's that blade feel, boy. To me, this is an aggressive razor. I think I may only have one other one. I need to shave with it again. That had an awful lot of blade feel. It was like mercy sakes. And it's a modern one. If I remember right, I think it was the one that I got from, I'll have to think about it a minute. Maybe the name will come to me. I put it to the side. It was just that aggressive. For a DE razor, it caught me off guard. A modern one. I only shaved with it, I think, the one time. But it was aggressive. It was like, wow. You definitely feel the blade. It was a lot like this one here. This Gillette Old Type. Yeah, since I'd already shaved with this once before, I knew I definitely wanted a moist, a wet lather. Give this all the glide that I can give it. Smells great. To me, at least for my nose, it's pretty straightforward. What I'm picking up with my nose, you pick up the tobacco, you pick up the rose. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but that's just, my nose has a tendency to be kind of simple. This particular handles, it is just right there with the rest of them. I guess you might say it's got a few small cracks in it. This one here, the cracks down towards the end are a little bit more than hairline. But it doesn't affect the shave any. That is one thing about having a wet lather. It does have a tendency to, I guess you might say, drip. You'll end up with it on your shirt. I don't know if any of you watched any of the sports yesterday. I didn't get to watch much. I got to hear bits and pieces on the radio. And local teams really didn't sound like they really wanted to win the game yesterday. The college teams, they really struggled. Even though they won, OU and OSU, guess you might say wasn't exactly their best performance. When you listen to the announcers, yeah, you can kind of tell. I guess you might say they're these announcers are very much, you know, with the team, more or less rooting for the team, and so you can tell in their voice when things are not going well and haven't been going well, and even some of the commentary will indicate so, which I like. That's the reason why I like listening to the radio when it comes to football games, because if you listen to the, I guess you might say what to be referred to as the local announcers, you get more of a feel on how the game's going, and they'll be really upfront if their team or if the other team is doing well or not so well. The tone is different than what you usually would hear on TV. Plus all the years of working out of a truck, all I had was the radio. Boy, this is good stuff. I was trying to go back a short while. I thought I'd shade with this a little bit more recent than what I did. Saw a picture that Frank from Strike Gold Shave posted. Restored a brush. You can find it on Instagram. I mean, that brush looks beautiful. You really ought to, if you haven't looked him up on Instagram, you really ought to, because this brush looks, oh, he did a great job on it. It looks fantastic. What made me think of all that is the brush that I used today. When it arrived, when I shipped it to him, it during shipping, maybe something fell on the box or whatever. Who knows what happened to it. It is a vintage brush, so it's not a young one. It's been through a little bit already. And so what had happened was, probably, I can try to point it out to you, it may be kind of hard to see. Right there is where a chunk had broken out. And he was able to put that back in there. I guess you might say I was pretty fortunate that that it didn't break up in several different pieces and it was just a chunk. And he was able to get it back up in there. This brush is kind of unique. I haven't seen very many of them. You know, some brushes, you know, are fairly common. You see quite a few of them, and either out on eBay or Etsy or in a shave of the day. And this one here, I haven't seen a whole lot of. It's a uniquely shaped one. Works well for me. I mean, I hold it in my hand and feels fine. The way it's small at the bottom and larger at the top. Feels pretty good. Feeling around to see how my shave went. It's a pretty close shave. Something I do is sometimes when especially a shavette or a straight razor, try to get a good idea where maybe my angle wasn't quite right, or the pressure. Because sometimes I can feel it when I run my hand across it. Either the amount of hair that's still there, the whiskers, or there's a sore spot. I have to say right now, it feels pretty decent. We'll see what the alum block has to say. Because sometimes it'll sting in an area that I would not have expected because I didn't notice it through the shave. And it's not very often that right up underneath there on this side here is not, it's not uncommon because this is a very particular part. It's difficult to shave without it getting irritated. But that's stinging right there for some reason. I guess it's just switching sides today. Use some Humphreys today. Feel like it went pretty good. I think also it has a lot to do with the how I mixed up the soap. Like I say, mixing it up wet to get a good glide. Got good cushion. There's just a little bit of feedback throughout the shave, not much. Not quite like what you might get out of a gym where you can hear it echoing, which I like. It sounds kind of cool. Here's the matching aftershave. Show you what the restrictor looks like here in just a moment. Because I know for some it is smells great. It's important for some on the restrictor size. If I was to make a suggestion to any of the artisans, there's some that make a excuse me, that's what it looks like there. Their cap and it's more of the cap than it is the restrictor. The restrictor, they come and seem like various different sizes, but the one thing I notice about, and I do like this, the shape of the bottle. This is pretty nice, but my Figaro, and I think I've got a couple others that are that way. In the cap, it has a stem, a post that comes down that goes inside that restrictor, and that helps with, I guess you might say, anything attempting to try to leak out. So not only do you have that stem or post going down through the restrictor, but then you got the cap itself sealing things up, so it stays nice and tight even over an extended period of time. I think that's a good design, as well as especially TFS. They'll usually put the scent profile, the notes, on their container. Just a thought. Aftershave's just fine. It's just, you know, if a person wanted to go into a lot of detail, it's about like Wild West shave. Russell putting the scent profile on the back of the container helps me out a lot, because, you know, sometimes, you know, it has a particular name, but, you know, what is the scent, and I can't remember, and my nose the way that it is, it takes a moment for me to, you know, sometimes run down the scent profile, or I can't find it anymore because some of the artisans, it's a seasonal soap. So if I'm out of season, and the way I am, I'll use it whenever I want to, and then of course it's not up there anymore, and so finding that scent profile is kind of tough. So I started trying to include that scent profile in my blog, so that, you know, if I need it, or somebody's looking at it, it is out of season, and the link is no longer there when I linked it to that soap, you know, where the profile would be, at least it would be in my little blurb there. Anyway, I'll stop. Everybody, I hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe and smooth shades to you.